Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and we are continuing our ranking of the seasons and series from modern Doctor Who and classic Doctor Who, all the way from worst to best. And we are at number 15 on the list. We're really trucking right along here. And at number 15 is season 18, Tom Baker's final season. I like this season. One of the things I like about it is it's a very unique season. There's no other season in Doctor Who that feels quite like season 18. There's no other season in Tom Baker's run that feels like season 18. It's very much its own thing, and it has its own identity, which I like. It is definitely a season about endings. It takes a very funeralistic approach to it. Entropy and things coming to an end and things decaying are a common theme throughout this season. But there's a good run of stories in here. Now, the first one, the Leisure Hive, I'm not too keen on. It is one of my least favorite classic Doctor Who stories, while still being watchable. It's not one of those stories I would classify as unwatchable. There are definitely worse stories out there from Doctor Who, classic and modern. I can definitely rewatch it. I just don't find it interesting. I don't really like some of the design choices they make. Some of the effects are really dated, which again, it's classic Who, I can understand that. But sometimes, like, something can look dated and I'm fine with it. Sometimes something can look dated and I'm like, ooh, they shouldn't have tried that. So yeah, I don't really get into the Leisure Hive. It's one of my least favorite Tom Baker stories, easily. Now, Meg Loss, on the other hand, I think is easily the most underrated story of the season and one of Tom's most underrated stories. I love Meg Loss. It's a lot of fun. I wish it was longer. My biggest complaint is that I feel like it needed one more episode because it does end very abruptly. It resolves very abruptly to the point I was like, that's it? It's over? Already? What? Isn't there another episode? It feels like it needed one more episode. I wish it was a little longer. It's also the only time, I think, in Doctor Who where the Doctor or a companion has been playing dual roles to where it makes sense. Like, it makes sense why Tom Baker is not only playing the Doctor, but why he's playing another character. Most of the time, when this happens, like in Blackwork did Enemy of the World or The Massacre, it's just a coincidence in universe why this person looks like this person. But in Meg Loss, it's actually a plot point. Meg Loss is purposely disguising himself as the Doctor so he can infiltrate where he's trying to infiltrate so he can achieve his goal. That I like. I like the fact that it makes sense for Tom Baker to be in dual roles here. I'm surprised they convinced Tom Baker to put on the cactus makeup. I wouldn't have thought Tom Baker would be on board on that. But he's great in it. I enjoy when he's playing Meg Loss. I am Meg Loss! Oh, I love Tom Baker. So he does a great job playing both roles. I find it a lot of fun. It's really nice having Jacqueline Hill back playing a different character, because she's not playing Barbara here, she is playing someone else. But it's nice to have her back in the Doctor Who family for another story. I find Meg Loss a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Moving into the E-Space trilogy, Full Circle's an odd one. I seem to have a different opinion of it every time I watch it. Like, I've never disliked it, but the first time I watched it, I was just kind of ho-hum on it. The second time I watched it, I was pretty favorable of it. The third time I watched it, I was somewhere in the middle. I think it's because Full Circle is one of those stories, kind of like Stones of Blood, where it does some things I really like and some things I really don't like. Like the Doctor figuring out they're just putting the ship apart or putting the ship together and taking it apart again because they don't know how to actually fix it. Some of that's pretty cool. Some of the dialogue's pretty cool. But the whole thing with Romana being bit by one of these creatures and being controlled by them to do stuff I don't really like. I don't like... To me, it's a little tropey in Doctor Who when the companion gets hypnotized and does... it just bothers me. So Full Circle does some things I like, some things I don't like, some things that always confuse me, like the life cycle of everything on that. It's like right when I watch the episode, I kind of get it, but like 3 days later, I'm like, what the heck was that about again? That's Full Circle. Then we have State of Decay, the masterpiece of the episode. Uncle Terrence back again, if I remember correctly. This is a Terrence Dick story that was taken and dusted off. Now, it does feel a little out of place in season 18, which is definitely a more sciencey season, and it's definitely more of a horror story. It really would slot right in with like seasons 13, 14, or 15. I mean, you could have it in the same season as Horror Fang Rock and fit in perfectly. So it's a little out of place in season 18, but that could be the reason why it stands out as being the best so easily. I love when Doctor Who does horror well. It does it in this story well. I really enjoy most of the acting involved in it. I like the main three villains that it shows, the three. They have a very theatrical way of acting, but it works. It's this kind of Bela Lugosi performance that works. I actually really enjoy it. It comes across really well to me. And their death scene is really good when the three die. That's I gotta admit, the effects used on that are pretty impressive, especially for classic Doctor Who, but just in general, I think it's pretty impressive. The realization when the Doctor figures out what's up with the castle and the mystery behind the castle, I think that's very clever, and I like how he figures that out. The only thing that really holds it down is the realization of the vampire king, the king vampire bat, or whatever it is, the head vampire. You know, like when the Doctor uses the little scope to see him down there, it has that little model flapping around, that looks a little cheesy. And then when the Doctor manages to kill it by driving the little spear, the ship down into the hand, with the hand reaching out, that doesn't work either. That's one of those classic Who effects where I'm like, that's unfortunate. But other than those little nitpicks, it's easily the masterpiece of the season. I love State of Decay. It is the season 18 story I go back to the most. And then we have Warrior's Gate. I also like Warrior's Gate. I think it's a clever, intelligent story. I really love the story itself. It's really well done. And I love how it's executed. This is a story that, depending on which decade it's made, is going to be realized very differently on screen, utilizing the technology of the time. If it had been made back in the 60s, I think it would have taken a very minimalist approach, a lot like The Mine Robber. I think it would have been similar in style to The Mine Robber. And even here, it does take a very minimalist approach with that white background, which again fits Doctor Who's budget, but still gives it this otherworldly feel. I think it's executed really, really well. I love watching the Doctor and people walk into the mirror and how the people from the ship don't know how to do it, but the Doctor does. And even the cat people, their outfits work pretty well, actually. I really like Warrior's Gate. I think it's a strong story from the 80s. And then we move into The Keeper of Traken, which I'm also very fond of. It does a really good job introducing Nyssa. I wish she had been fleshed out better later, but she's really good in this story. I like the Nyssa's kind of stepmom. I don't really like her. Her heel turn seems a little too easy. The actress playing her does fine. It's just the way she's written doesn't quite work. I love Anthony Ainley as Tree Mask. This is actually my favorite Anthony Ainley performance that he does in Doctor Who. I mean, he's good as the Master, especially in stuff like Survival when he can really do it his own way, and then Mark of the Rani. But I like him as Tree Mask because Tree Mask comes across as this very good and noble person, this intelligent scientist who wants to take care of his wife, who wants to take care of his daughter, and, you know, wants what's best for his people, the good of his people. He's a very noble person. So when he is basically killed by the Master, it's all the more tragic, you know, his fate. And that not only is he killed, but his body's stolen away from him. It makes that all the more heartbreaking, I think. And it's a shame that's never really explored more with Nyssa, with basically the Master running around with the face of her dead father. That they never really did more than that. But I enjoy Keeper of Traken, and I think Tom is really good in it as well. Logopolis is good without being great. It's not a bad send-off for the Fourth Doctor. He deserved better. He did deserve a better send-off. He deserved something, I think, a little more epic. I mean, he does end up saving most of the universe here, to his credit. He dies pretty much saving most of the universe. But it just doesn't quite live up. And I think Anthony Ainley is good as the Master here. I think Tom is putting on a good performance here. I love the introduction of Tegan because I really like Tegan a lot. I just find Logopolis good without being great. It's definitely good. It's a solid good. Not just good. It's a solid good. It is a solid good. But it's not great, and I think Tom Baker deserved better. Also, I do like the enhanced, updated effects on the box set for it. They do add a little more to it. Not a lot, but a little more to it. So that's my thoughts on Season 18. I would like to know what you think of this season. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do. Click the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me out, and I certainly appreciate it. Don't forget to check out all the things in the little details down below, the description down there. Links to the Patreon, links to the Amazon wish list. My P.O. box is down there as well. If there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Crane. He's one of my top tier patrons. I appreciate his support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. And most importantly, thank you for watching.